Have you ever tried to make whole wheat bread without adding, the white flour, just whole wheat? It's normally so hard to get it fluffy and soft. More often than not, it actually ends up being very dense. Well, I will be showing you how I make my whole wheat bread, and this does not have any white flour in it. And also, an addition, we're using honey instead of sugar. Let's make it. Hello, home chefs, and welcome back to the channel. So, in our bowl, we will put our warm water, and then we will be adding honey instead of sugar. Then we will add our instant dried yeast and then mix to kind of start dissolving the honey. Then we will add our flour. The flour I am using here is flour that is stone ground. So it's whole wheat, but it is stone ground. So that means it is smoother than the normal whole wheat flour that you would find in the shelves. This is what I prefer using when it comes to whole wheat bread. I have tried it with the other breads. Unless I do a 50-50 mix of white flour and whole wheat flour, it tends to not come out as fluffy. So this has been my go-to flour when it comes to just purely whole wheat bread. You then want to mix it and make sure a shaggy dough is made. I feel like if you've been in this channel long enough, you kind of know the process. And then we will put this dough on the counter. And this is where it gets interesting. The method I'll be using to knead today, I don't know how many of you are conversant with it, but it's by one of the people I really admire as a pastry chef. His name is Richard. And because of how soft this dough is and sticky, when you try and knead it the old fashioned way, you will just end up with a mess on the table. So we're going to do the slap and fold method, and you'll be seeing me do it throughout this video. So this is how we're going to develop our gluten. I love using this method when the dough is a high hydration dough. I remember one time my mom trying to knead the dough and wondering how I was able to handle it. It takes practice, but it is the only way you'll be able to get sticky, high hydration dough to be able to develop the gluten well. I worked the dough a bit, then now add my fat. I was using margarine here, but you can use butter, and then kind of incorporate it into the dough a bit. And after this, you want to add your salt after a few mixes, because salt will help in making this dough less sticky. The other thing you're going to need for this method of kneading is going to be your scraper. So if you have one, this is the best place to take it out. I feel like you can't fully do this method without a scraper. It's going to be really hard to be able to do it. As you can see, I'm now adding my salt, and then you're going to knead this dough for a while. So when you start kneading this dough, as I said, it's the slap and fold method, it's going to be all over the place. It's going to stick to your hands. It's actually not going to be a very pretty process. But the more you knead, the more you'll notice the dough being less and less sticky and coming together cohesively. So this isn't our time issue. You just have to feel the dough, and you'll notice that it changes the consistency the more you do this. So you slap it down and then fold. The more you do this, the more air bubbles are locked into the bread, but also the more you develop the gluten. After a while, you'll notice that the dough is less sticky. Please do not be tempted to go back to kneading this dough in the traditional way. If you do, it will stick to your hands. This is like the best way to do it. I'm hoping as you're seeing the video, you are getting the method that I am using to just slap down and fold. And then slowly and surely, you're seeing the gluten just be able to form and the dough change its consistency. This is going to take a while, then it's going to be less sticky on your hands and on the surface. It literally just starts coming together as a cohesive dough. Once you notice the dough starting to get smooth and hold its shape, you'll just notice that the gluten has developed. You then want to do what we call working the dough. So you want to create a tight bowl with this dough using your scraper, and so you just continue to move your dough around using your scraper until a tight bowl is formed and there's a smooth top on top. Then your dough will be ready to be proofed. In a greased bowl, add your dough and let it proof for about 1.5 hours or until doubled in size. This dough is actually really soft compared to the other doughs and sticky. So if you feel like your dough is sticking too much to the surface that you're working with, lightly pour some flour or on the surface and then be able to work with the dough. What I'm going to do here is stretch the dough a bit and then I'm going to do another fold. This one isn't particularly necessary, but I like to make sure I add as much strength to my dough any moment I can. As we are folding this dough, allow me to say thank you so much for 117 subscribers. The fact that new people keep joining every day is such an encouragement. I'm glad you've been loving the content. Kindly continue to share and ask more people to subscribe. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Here we try and challenge ourselves in the kitchen to be the best home chefs we can be, one recipe at a time while having fun in the kitchen. Once you are done with the dough, I like to rest it for a few minutes. Actually walked away for more than 10 minutes on this one, so they kind of proofed a bit, but it's still okay. So you want to go ahead and deflate, slightly deflate the dough. I sprinkled a bit of flour because I didn't want the rolling pin to stick, and then you just want to roll it out. And I feel like if you've watched my previous video when I was making white bread, you know how we would fold this. So you're going to do the same thing. You didn't need to divide this dough into two. I just was experimenting with something, and if you would want to see what I was experimenting with, just stay tuned till the end of the video and I'll show you. So you can easily make this entire dough into one loaf. You're just going to use a bigger loaf tin compared to what I used. I used a mini one, so that's why I separated the dough into two parts because of the other dough that I was experimenting with. Once your dough is rolled up, you're going to place it into your greased loaf tin and then let it double in size. Many times it's between 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the temperature in your kitchen. Once your dough is proofed, you can see that it kind of springs back when you try and touch it. We're going to place it into our oven at 180 degrees Celsius for approximately 35 to 40 minutes. And then our dough is now bread. That is so fluffy. You want to let this cool completely before you try and cut into it. And there is our mini loaf. It's so fluffy and soft for a whole wheat bread, and you're going to love this. Make sure you do try it. The kneading process is a bit intense, but don't worry if it doesn't work out the first time. Just keep doing it and you'll be okay. And yes, when I cut my bread at home, I make them thick slices because I like my bread slices thick. Look at how fluffy this bread is. You trust me, you will enjoy this one. So please do try it out and let me know. Also, because of how fluffy and soft this bread is, please try and not eat it all in one setting because it can easily happen. So, in case you are wondering, this is the brand of the flour I use. If you are in Kenya, maybe you could try it out. And this is not sponsored, guys. Anyway, thank you for staying till the end of the video. And as promised, here's what I did with the remaining half of the dough. I braided it using the method I normally use for my challah bread, which I'll be sharing a recipe too anyway. And this is how it turned out. Whole wheat, guys. I love it. As always, enjoy. Bye.